What you guys, got another video here for you. Now, a few of you guys wanted to see a Windows 98 Plus edition installed, so that's what we're going to do here. We're going to just quickly take a look at Windows 98 Plus edition and take a trip down memory lane and have a look at what it looked like. Now, the install process for this was pretty hefty back in the day, because you'd have had a floppy drive and everything else. It would have took quite a long time, but we're on an ISO image here and a pretty fast machine, and also we're on a virtual machine. So we're going to configure the unallocated disk space here first off. The process is exactly the same, but we'll be using a VM here. Yes, to enable large disk support here, and then what we're going to do is I'll speed some of this process up for you so it doesn't take too long, because it will take quite a while, and I'll get to the installation of the Plus version afterwards. So you can see we're going to start Windows 98 from the CD-ROM, and you can have CD-ROM support as well. And we're going to go straight into here and boot this up. And now we're going to format the C drive here. And this part I'll speed up because this bit does take a fair bit of time. And I'm pretty sure all you guys remember how to install Windows 8, because you used to have to install it quite a lot from the crashing and the errors that you always get. So we'll go ahead and let this install quickly. And I've speeded it up, not too fast so you can still see it, but basically I'm going to put an account on here now. And it just goes to show you how things have changed with Windows 10 and how fast Windows 10 installs. So now we need to put our product key in here. Now if you didn't have a product key, you couldn't skip that phase. So if you didn't have a product key, you wouldn't have been able to install it. So we're just going ahead now and doing a hardware detection. So we're on a detecting non-plug-in and play hardware in your computer. So we'll let that do its thing, and it's going to reboot, and it used to reboot a hell of a lot back in the day. Just set up our day and time zone here, and a little drum sign updating system settings. So I can remember that little icon there, and now it's going to restart again. And take note of that Windows 98 logo there when we reboot the system, the splash screen, because when we put the plus on, there'll be a plus on there when we add that in. So here we are at the desktop with a fancy little graphic design there, fading in with the logo. Pretty basic stuff back then, but it was pretty advanced, I would have imagined. Now the graphics aren't right here, that would be running really smooth there, but we need the drivers right. So what we need to do here is install the drivers for the VM. So I'll do that. So let me just close this off, because it's a little bit jerky and a little bit unstable. So I'm going to go ahead and install that on the system. Now this is just the VM tools here, so we'll have a look. You won't be able to change the resolution on the desktop here because we haven't got no support for it. So we need to install that part here, and I'll just quickly show you here. So you have your appearance, pretty basic stuff, effects and web, and your settings. Now some of this stuff has not changed even in Windows 10. You still got similar little features that are the same. So we can see here can't change this setup here. So I'm going to come down the bottom and go to install tools, and this will allow us to change the graphics. On here. Now don't want to bump it up too high, I just want to be able to see it a bit more smoother. So I'm going to override this and then go ahead and just install this tool set, and there we go. So now we'll be able to change the resolution, and then we can just give it a bit of internet. Now you're not going to be able to do too much with this. I'm not going to spend too much time setting this right up, and we're just going to bump this up to probably 1024 by 768 will do, and we're going to keep this resolution setting. And again, of course, this is working really snappy on here because it's on a fast machine, probably way faster than what it had been back then. So you can see we're for this. We're just going to set up a LAN here. Wants to set up the modem. I'm going to cancel this. And everything here is out of date. Now if you wanted to get the latest internet browser, you'd have to slipstream all this stuff on, because Windows updates doesn't work, and I'm not going to do all that. to get things working. But I will download some software from old apps like Netscape and stuff like that, and see if we can get this working properly. So we're going to Internet Properties here, and you can see we've got MSN, which was big in the day, and also AOL and a few of the other things here. And I can always remember going in here, changing the history. I don't know what I used to do, is change that to a lower spec. And coming inside here, so I'm just going to quickly set this up so we can get some internet working. So I'll go to LAN here, and don't need none of that stuff, so go next. And no, we don't need mail. Go next and finish, and that should be ready. Now I think this is running Internet Explorer 5, which is going way back, and it's probably really buggy and not going to work properly. So we'll need to address that. And I think you can go up to 6 or something like that with this version of Windows, which you could download from the old app store, but the old apps website. But the problem is with that, it needs to connect to the Windows Update and server, and it won't be able to pull those down. So it will probably just blue screen or crash or give you an error message. So you can see it's not really functioning properly here on the internet. An illegal operation, and will shut down. Problem. You can remember those boxes popping up quite a lot. So we'll just close that off here. So we do have internet now. You see the page fault here, and that's because it's going to a page that's dead. So we're just going to open this up and try and go Google. There we go. Now you've got to remember, back in the day there was dial-up and stuff like that. So we've got always on internet, autocomplete. YouTube is definitely not going to work. So what we'll do here is close this off, and we'll make some changes here. You can see about this number 5, Internet Explorer 5. That's going way back. So you could probably put 6 on here if you could get it to load on there. You could even side load it onto slipstream it onto the disk. But if you want to get apps, you can go to the old app store here or website and download apps like Netscape, like I'm doing here. And Netscape was a big thing back then, and they sort of disappeared. But you can install this and use it. And I don't want to import anything across. And you can see here there's other things we can install here. DirectX 6, and you can see I did download the Internet Explorer 6, but it wouldn't install because obviously it needed to connect to the Windows Update, and it just gave me an error message, so I couldn't install that. So I'll skip that part in the video, cut that bit out. And I wanted to try and get this working here, but as you can see here, loads of errors come up, and the reason why is because it was going to AOL and trying to go to their website here, aol.co.uk, and it was causing loads of issues here. So I'm just going to close this window off. For faster, safer browsing, AOL recommend. You can see even then they were trying to get you to download certain stuff and install Firefox and stuff like that. You can see, because Firefox back then was really, really good, and a lot of people used to use it. Well, a lot of people still use it today. So I'm going to go ahead and change this up. So you can see I've installed a couple of things here. I've got WinRAR on here as well. These have to be the versions for Windows 98, otherwise they won't work. So you have to go for the version. I'm going to install the Plus 98 now. I've already installed WinRAR, and you can see I'm going to unzip this file. Now this is an ISO file, and I'm going to just dump this onto the desktop here, and then we can run the setup. Now this will be for the Plus version to give you that extra goodies that everyone thrived back in the day, because Windows 98 was very basic, and the Plus give you some extras. So let's go ahead and install it and take a look. And I think this is what Jeff wanted to see, so we'll go ahead and install this. Now a lot of people didn't have the Plus version. I think the Plus version was pretty expensive, and we're just going to go ahead and skip that. Scan the system for viruses, and you can see McAfee was so as you can see, McAfee was a big thing back then, and that's how they become so big. They come pre-installed on a lot of computers, same as Norton. You'd either have McAfee or Norton, and they'd install here. And they were side-loaded in a lot of programs like the Microsoft Plus and other software that you'd get, free software for magazines. Everyone used to look forward to those free software for magazines because the download speed was so slow. And you'd get a bundle 500 programs on one CD, if you remember Computer Shopper and stuff like that. Now, of course, big theming back then was big thing because no one was creating massive amounts of themes. So this was a big thing for Microsoft to release these. Once people started learning how to do it themselves, they created their own theme packs and you could install them. But as you can see here, the Plus used to give you Garfield. Do you remember Garfield back in the day? I used to have a Garfield stuck on the back of my Peugeot 205 GTI window. About 92, I think. So as you can see, the themes here, we'll have a closer look at these in a second. We'll just roll through a few of these. And again, these used to change the actual whole look of Windows itself. And look at this, they're just so basic, but back then they wasn't. They looked, and you could see also, what was he, Snoopy. You see it changed the recycle bin and the network neighborhood and stuff like that. My Documents. So what we're going to do here, express use of, you can see it's trying to set up a maintenance schedule here. Clean up the start menu, scan and remove viruses in your computer, speed up the most frequently used programs, check your hard disk for errors, and delete unnecessary files from your hard drive. Now these things here are still very big today. These are registry scanners. This is where it all stemmed from. People started putting these all over the internet, and you can still see a lot of this stuff. Now you can see the Windows 98 Plus has now been added to the splash screen on boot up, and we'll let this load up here. So error checking, defragging and speeding up your computer was a really big thing back then, and that's because everyone wanted that extra bit of speed out of their computer. So you used to see these programs popping up all over the internet, and it was quite a common thing. So we've got one of those annoying little cursor things on the screen there. So I'm just going to log back in here. You can see it's now gone back, so that's sort of the wallpaper on that one didn't work, but we'll take a closer look. So now we have the Plus 98 installed on here, and we could take a look at some of the, as you can see here, the context menus change yellow with red writing, and these are very simple things to do today, but back then I suppose it was a pretty big thing. You can change whatever you like here. Screensaver, as you can see, change up your screensavers, and you can take a preview of these as well. Remember that 98 high flying. So let's have a look at some of these appearance, and of course you've got your settings here, and there's the McAfee screen scan here, and you can put enable scanning while in screensaver mode. So we'll just run through some of these settings here. As you can see, there wasn't vast amounts of settings inside Windows 98. You had your adapter here, also your monitor and your performance, and you can see hardware accelerator on full, color management, and there wasn't really a lot there. As you can see, appearance, background, a lot of big things back then was changing your icons and your wallpaper. I mean, that was probably as far as that went. A lot of registry tweaking back then. So let's take a look at what we got. So we got the program installed now. We've got McAfee V-Shield status here, and you can see here it's just scanned the files, properties, and this is what you would get. This is your antivirus basically back in the day. It's very basic looking. Actions, clean infected files automatically and so on, move infected files, prompt and so on, alert. So it wasn't the most beautiful looking antivirus program with very little features on it, as you can see, but that's what you had to offer to back in the day. Now of course we had the Netscape which we installed, and you got your Outlook Express, and you show your desktop. So let's go into here and we'll take a look at the accessories area. Entertainment, deluxe CD player, CD sampler, sound recorder, volume, Windows Media Player. And I mean, Windows Media Player back then was very basic looking. It's never been the most advanced sort of a program, but as you can see here, it's very minimal. And all the little favourites that they always used to put in there by default. And of course, let's go ahead and move on into here, which is your Microsoft Plus, which we've just installed games. You can see Golf Light and Lose Your Marbles and Solitaire. So Lose Your Marbles would have been a game that you could play. And again, you used to get loads of these on magazines like Computer Shopper and stuff like that back in the day, where they would have like you know, top 20 games, and they'd all be free and stuff like that, because people couldn't download stuff because the internet was so slow. And you used to get like 500 programs or something like that, and they'd all be, you spend most of your day having a look at the free programs, what they would actually do. You might find one or two out of all that lot that's pretty useful. So you've got skill set here 1 to 3, and I think, remember this is just like marbles where you just line them up, and if I remember, so I think you're trying to line these up like so. And that's what I'm trying to do here. There you go. So I think that's what the art of it was back in the day. It's just trying to line these up. Just waiting for one more there. But that's, anyway, that's the marble game there. And there we go, it's coming down now, as you can see there. Oh, there it is there. Anyway, getting into that. So this come out of here and exit this. And we'll just quit out there. So that was the marble game there. Again, we installed WinRAR and stuff like that. Briefcase, you could probably try to get going on here. I remember Briefcase being a big thing back in the day. And again, you had your Runbox, which has still been around for a long time here. And settings with your Windows Update. Folder options. Now this really hasn't changed too much, your folder options. This was a big thing back in the day. People always used to lose what to open their files with, and this is never changed here. This is the same on Windows 10 even today. So some of it's changed. Let's have a look here. So let's go into here again, and as you can see, disk cleanup has never changed. That's still the same, even when it's in Windows 10. You can still get this feature in Windows 10 with more options and settings. So that's never changed there as well. So you can see the virus scanner. and also the maintenance wizard. This would have been a big thing way back when, and this is where all the registry cleaner programs sort of had their ideas of tweaking and making it faster. You know, look, defragging the drive and stuff like that. You can see, look, the cleanup of the start menu, delete unnecessary files. I did this a little bit earlier on, but you see it's starting to defrag the drive now. These were all big things back in the day. Look, you're still getting the old scan come up, update this, McAfee alert. So let me just get rid of that. And scan, so you can see here, check for errors as well. Pretty common back then, those sort of programs. And you've got all your usual suspects in here: WordPad, Paint, Notepad, Imaging, and so on as well. So again, let's just go back in here. And we'll look at system tools. So you've got your system tools here. Welcome to Windows. ScanDisk. We all remember ScanDisk. Disk converter FAT32. And you've got your internet tools and so on. So this was another thing. Picture-it, if you remember, Picture-it back in the day was a very big thing for people that add D+. This is where you could edit your photos and stuff like that. That was what you used to deal with back then. Scanning was a big thing. But basically that was the Picture-it. So let's take a look at some screensavers here, and we'll have a look at that. We'll go back into Microsoft Plus 98, and there will be an area here called Organic Art Screensaver. We'll go in here and take a look at this area. And I'll scroll through some of these screensavers so you can see them and see what they look like. And there we go. So we're just going to have a little look here at preview. Now, if you remember rightly, that the music videos used to have this wave effect when they were moving their hands around. You could see that effect coming off of their hands in music videos and stuff like that. If you remember that, if you're old enough to remember that. And I'll just go through here, look at world travel. We looked at that one. Jazz, let's have a look at jazz. It's just got some instrument figures going around here. And I think we'll have a look at some others. We'll go through here. Horror, let's have a look at that. It's just a picture basically. And we'll move on into Windows 98. This was a pretty popular one. This water effect was a big thing in the day for graphics and stuff. You used to get that water effect. I remember the JavaScript water effect used to do on web things. Used to put on there, and used to have like a picture of with a lake, and that water effect would be underneath it. The old guitars, yeah, there we go. Nothing fancy today, but probably state of the art back then. And we'll just go through here. Garfield. This is Pongo sticks. If you remember the Pongo sticks, used to jump about on those. There you go. They did make a sort of a bit of a comeback, but it didn't last too long. Very simple device, really. Big spring on the bottom, and you used to have a footrest. You just bounce up and down like that with it. I think my daughter had one and then he broke my legs. Let's have a look. There's Flying Windows. Yeah, that's a very popular one. Flying Windows. The one I used to see on people's computers quite a lot. It's a nice effect, that. I do like that. And let's have a look what else we've got here. Fashion, yeah. Let's have a look. High colour. Oh, leaves. All leaves, high colour. Look at that. Just ridiculous. Yeah. I think, as you can see here, these are the actual themes you can use as well. They sort of relate to the themes as well. And that iceberg there, that was the beginning of the iceberg, and then they've made a big picture of it in ME. And this one, I remember this one as well, just to take some of the background away. So anyway, I think we're going to start to wrap this one up. So I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane with the Windows 98 Plus edition, as you can see here. And some things never change. Some of these old features are still implemented today in modern day operating systems. As you can see here, the View tab, this is still in Windows 10, this view here. So some of the views have not changed, and file types and stuff like that. They've probably added a few more to it, but as you can see here, the sort of same process is there. Just the GUI interface has changed a little bit, but all pretty much the same thing. And even the add and remove programs and stuff like that is still the same. It's just that you've got a much different type of a filter. I think they're trying to move away from the control panel to go to control panel and use the Windows settings area, but you can still get to control panel in Windows 10, but I think they're just trying to move away from that area and do something different. But they've still left it on the system for you if you want to use it. But this is the old control panel with 98, and the add and remove programs has always been there, but you can see here it's slightly different. Here we've got the install and uninstall Windows setup, which is where you remove all your items for Windows and reinstall them and stuff like that. Desktop themes, as you can see here, and bits like that. Sometimes you needed the Windows disk to add some of these in. You've got the startup disk here to create a startup disk, and that's pretty much it really. So I'm going to wrap this one up. I hope this one's been enjoyable for you. My name is Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. If you enjoy these videos, guys, then give it a thumbs up, and I shall see you again for another video real soon. Bye for now.